You're listening to the Hookit Podcast, brought to you by Hookit Products Ltd.
60% of the time, it works every time.
That doesn't make sense.
Getting Simon's going back.
Going huge. And I was like, guys was just like flying over me, looking like my head couldn't move fast enough. Woo! Like really, like, you know, really insane. That was like, it's so crowded, but just good fitting and just like people flying all the time.
Love it.
We're going streaky! Yeah!
What's up, podcast fans? We are back with another episode of the Hookit Podcast. This is episode number 9. So thank you very much for checking it out and giving us a download. It's much appreciated. Before we start with the show today, I just want to mention a new product which we just released. As October is Cancer Awareness Month, and cancer is something which is close to a lot of people's hearts, we have just released a special limited edition 35 bikes mudguard, which is available from your local bike shop. If they don't have it, you can just ask for one and we can get one down to them. Other than that, you can jump onto 35bikes.com. Obviously, a percentage of every sale will be donated to a UK cancer charity, and it'd be awesome if you could send us some photos of one on your bike, and hopefully we can raise some money and give a little bit back. There you go. And before we start the show today, I want to make a really quick apology. It appears we did have some feedback from a headphone jack, I think. I have no idea how it's happened, but Apple Store are going to know about it tomorrow. But yeah, on today's show we have Mr. Alistair Mclean. Alistair is from Fat Creations, and he is the guy behind some of the most amazing paint jobs in the world. He's the guy who produced all the Steve Pete bikes for this year, along with some stuff for Aaron Gwyn, Troy Brosnan, and some Rio Olympics bikes too. So I'm really excited to sit down and have a chat with Alistair. We're going to get into it. And yeah, let's welcome to the show, Alistair Mclean. Boom. Right, we're officially live. Great. But not live, so don't worry, because I know you were freaking out before.
Only a bit.
We're not technically live. So yeah, first podcast, I guess, for you, right?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. It'd be a bit of an experience, I'm sure.
And you're not a podcast listener either. You're kind of new to the whole thing.
No, I'm a virgin.
Okay, well, I'm pretty much a virgin too, man. I'm not into double digits yet. We're still at number 9, so...
Fair enough.
Apparently, once you get over 10, it gets really easy, but we'll see.
Yeah.
So, let's get started. I want to cover some basic stuff first with you. So, nice and simple, what is Fat Creations?
I guess it's a custom paint company. Started out there a while ago, probably 99, I guess, really. I started doing jobs that I was getting paid for. I started a few years before that, painting friends' lids and what have you, my own stuff. Got my confidence up, and then by about 99 I was starting to charge people that I didn't know for work that I was doing, and just let it tick over really. But the last few years, a few things have changed, and I decided just to pull the pin and let it go really, and it's snowballed into something quite uncontrollable, to be honest.
Really? Uncontrollable in a good way though?
Yeah, I guess, unless I want a day off.
Yeah, well, I've not had one of those for a little while. In fact, I'm lying. I actually had my first week off about 2 weeks ago, and it felt good. It felt really good.
I bet.
So, yeah, let me know when you get one, and I'll...
yeah, you're making me jealous.
We'll have a chat about it.
Definitely.
Self-employed dream. So, yeah, you covered a few bits that I want to speak to you about anyway then, but how did you originally get started then? So what's your background with painting?
I didn't really have any background. I got started while I was still racing professionally downhill. I was an elite level downhiller in the UK. I broke my collarbone one year. I think it was about 95, and that meant for the first time in 8 years I wasn't able to ride the bike. I wasn't able to train. I'd bought an airbrush for 3 years previous to that and promised myself that I'd have a go with it, and never ever had the time. I was always racing, training away, just didn't have the time. So I busted my collarbone, had 6 weeks off the bike, got the airbrush out and painted my first crash helmet.
Right, okay. Simple as that.
Yeah, simple as that. Yeah, it looked dreadful. It looked dreadful, but I really enjoyed doing it.
Yeah,
so, it was the paint side of things was born then. Really, I got a bit addicted to it, and kept nicking my mates' crash helmets sometimes without them even knowing. I'd have a word with their other half and say, get me Neil's lid or get me Justin's lid. I know they're not using it for the next few weeks. I'm going to paint something on it, and it went like that really. And just
at that time, then, what were you doing work-wise? Were you doing anything similar, or?
Not really. I was R&D manager at a company called Ultimate Sports Engineering, so USE to the masses out there, or even Exposure Lights as it is now.
Oh, right, okay.
So my daytime job was part of my professional cycling side of things. I was designing and testing mountain bike components. So, we made anything from simple handlebars to suspension forks, suspension seat posts. I would be involved in the design stage. I'd make the test rigs, set the test rigs up, break the products, compare them to other products out there. We'd break RockShox, we'd break Manitous, we'd break Mazokis, and then, we'd break our own product and make sure that we were 20% stronger. Right. Then obviously test ride them and then race them at national and international level.
Okay, so a pretty cool job as well before you started Fat Creation.
I was really lucky actually. I've always followed my passion and had really good jobs.
Right, okay. So working within the industry already, and obviously that seemed to give you the head start when it came to getting custom jobs as well for people and stuff.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, I was very lucky to make an awful lot of friends in the early days of mountain biking. Yeah. I first raced in '88 and then carried on for 12 years. Okay. And there's an awful lot of those guys quite high up and in the industry now. So, the guys you were racing against and friends with back then are ones that can quite easily give you a month's work now. It's really good. They know, and where you've grown up together and you know what you put into your sport, what kind of person you're dealing with. You're dealing with someone that's fairly full on. They're prepared to work at stuff. So there's a lot of mutual respect in the trade. The guys that have been around for a long time, so that's really good.
Yeah, excellent. I mean, I first heard about you actually. I walked in a local bike shop in Sheffield called Joe's Bikes. I think you might know Joe through Steve. And there was him and a few of his staff members sort of like geeking out around the computer. So I sort of walked in and I was like, hey guys, what's going on? And Joe was like, have you seen this? So I go over and it was, I never forget it actually, it was really cool. It was a Santa Cruz, it might be a Bronson possibly. And the front of it was like a hand, like the Santa Cruz skate logo. It's like a light blue and orange. Oh man, it was beautiful.
Oh yeah, the golf colours one.
Yeah, the golf colours one.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah.
So
that was for a local rider, Carl. We saw him at the weekend actually. We were at a race on Sunday and he was there then. So and that bike still looks as fresh as a daisy, which is good.
That's cool. I was fully geeking out over it with those guys. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
So that's cool though. Good to cover sort of like where you came from and stuff. So when do you feel that the whole thing kind of turned from a hobby into a legit business or a monster that you've created now?
It's hard to say because I did let it roll a bit about, I guess, in the early 2000s. I made it my main income. Right. But I tended to get some quite good jobs, so then I would back away from the painting. Back then it was motorcycles I was into, painting wise. So, just painting motorbikes really. Didn't do many bicycles. The thing is with bikes back then, they were changing every year so much that it just wasn't worth keeping a bike. If you were racing at any level, you'd get a new bike every year. It was as simple as that. Yeah. So, it didn't matter if it was chipped, damaged or whatever, you were selling it to someone else, and they would just ride it and so on. So, there was no market for bicycle painting really, not to the level there is today. So, in the mid 2000s, I let it drift away a bit and I would just tick over, just doing a few motorcycles a month. I guess probably about 5 or 6 years ago, I started painting bicycles, mountain bikes, road bikes.
Right.
And really enjoying it. Bikes have been my passion all my life, since I was 16. Started racing when I was 16. Very rarely had a break from it. Usually it was only due to injury. So, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
So to be able to start to paint something that has been a massive part of my life was really good, and it was a matter of keeping it under control because I had another job that I loved, and I didn't want to give this other job up. But it was becoming apparent about 2 or 3 years ago that Fat Creations could be a bit of a monster, really.
Yeah.
I was getting asked to do some fantastic jobs from higher profile customers and so on. And I had to make the decision, what I was going to do. And I just decided, along with some other things helped me make the decision. About 2 years ago now, I quit my other job and just put my focus into Fat Creations.
Right.
So it was the only way to go, really.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. You got to throw yourself at something, especially if you're enjoying it, and it creates maybe a little bit more of a lifestyle for you as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if that lifestyle's working constantly.
Yeah, but it's not work to me. It's my passion. So it's it really is a passion. So it just doesn't feel like work. It's just a day out for me.
Yeah. And as far as staff members go, is it just yourself, or do you have other people drafted in?
I have other people help me. My other half, Bex, she's pretty much full time. So she'll deal with emails, she'll deal with stencils, a lot of the design work. Specific clients, we have to do designs. If we're doing anything for Specialized, if we're doing anything for WD-40, if we're doing anything for any of the big brands, usually you have to have it signed off.
A little bit more corporate.
And so Bex will be doing the designs on them. For example, that probably took her 40 hours to design. By the time you've designed a few, sent them off, adjusted them, so there's an awful lot of work. She also gets involved in the prep side and the final flattening and polishing side, really. So I tend to try and make her suffer a little bit, as well as sit in front of the computer. I tend to try and make sure she gets her hands dirty.
Okay, that's something I want to go back to, though, is the actual process of it. But we'll come back to that. I mean, we can chill for a little while. It's no drama.
And I've got one other guy that comes and helps me, a friend of mine called Joel. He helps a lot out. Joel from Love to Pedal.
Love to Pedal,
he does a lot of the prep on the carbon frames. He's had some experience in the past with paintwork. He's got his own business, so it works quite well. He's flexible, which I need, because some weeks I'll have 3 or 4 carbon frames that need doing. The next week it'll be aluminium and steel. So it's kind of it works for both of us, really. It's quite good, and he's very good at what he does. So.
All right, very good, very good. No, it's amazing. I think what you've created, obviously all you have to do is look on your Facebook or your Instagram, and people are obviously quite appreciative of what you're doing. The social media is massive, but again, we'll come back to that.
Yeah, sure.
Let's run through sort of like the design process and stuff then. So let's say average Joe down the road just bought a new Bronson from his local bike shop, and he wants to get it all pimped out and looking, I don't know, let's say like something Steve rides. What happens? How does it happen?
Basically, we'll have a customer get in contact. They usually have a bit of an idea of what they want, and then we give them an idea of price. If it's less than they expect, then they seem quite excited because we can add to their designs. If it's more than they expect, usually they come round to the reason why it costs what it costs quite quickly. So it's a matter of bouncing emails back and forward. We always say, have a look on the internet, have a look at what we've done in the past, pull out the pictures you like, send them to us, then I can get an idea of what kind of taste the person's got. It's very easy to paint something for a friend. You know what they're into, you know what colours they like, if they've got specific tattoos or a specific car, so you can kind of make the frame very personal for someone but you need to try and learn a bit about your customer so that you can come up with something that they're going to like. And that's usually by getting them to send you some pictures of things they like the look of, and then you just get a feel for the kind of person they are, really, whether they're flamboyant, extreme and want everyone to see it, or whether they're subtle but they like things to be there but not in your face sort of thing. So once you've learned that, you can then push them in the direction that sometimes I fancy going. There's things that I want to do sometimes, and I'll find a customer that I think, they're perfect for that, and I've been wanting to do that for months or years. So let's run it by them and see if they want to go for it. And that's how it works. It's fairly fluid, to be honest.
Right.
It's fluid to the point of even painting the frame. I can be in the spray booth on a Sunday evening, and if I'm not sure that something we've agreed on, if I've started painting it, I'm thinking, actually, I'm not sure about this, I'll take a picture, I'll text it to the customer, and we'll have a 20-minute phone conversation, and I'll get it right at 10 o'clock Sunday night.
Right, okay.
And it's just better that way, because people's minds change. So it's it's good. It's the best way to be.
Yeah, I was chatting to Dan actually from D&D Cycles on Facebook the other night, because obviously he's a mutual friend.
Yes.
And I said, what's something that you feel people might need to know about Ali? And he said his work ethic's pretty incredible. So where does that come from?
Dan wanting a bike painted for free. I think, in all honesty, it's quite funny you say that, because my old boss, Roger Sparrow at USE, Ultimate Sports Engineering, we used to anodise and polish things, things, and they had to be perfect. Roger's background was a goldsmith, and he was a goldsmith to a lot of the royal family, a lot of very, very rich, wealthy people, and so his work had to be perfection. Ridiculously perfect, and he brought that across into the mountain bike products that USE used to make, and it used to infuriate me, the stuff that we used to have to reject and put back through the system.
Right.
But after working with someone like that for 10 years, you learn to be really anal.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
Right, pain in the arse. But I started at USE when I was very young, and that had a massive influence on me. And it's not just me. There's another friend of mine that's worked at the company for a long time. And it shows in his business that he's got now, And I was only speaking to James from Barrow Cycles, and literally 10 days ago we were chatting. He just had been at the show at London, and his stand was perfect. And I just said, did you find working for Roger made your attention to detail that much better? And he said absolutely. Because and that was, I think, yeah, definitely. And that's where I think it's only good enough when it's the best you can do. Can't do perfect. Paintwork's a nightmare. It's an average person, it would probably drive to drink. But so you can't do perfect. Sometimes you get lucky, and your job is perfect. The job that you've done is perfect. Yeah. But yeah, it's about doing it as best you can, and then almost definitely having to do it a little bit more again. Until you're happy with it. And I think that working with USE back in the day is probably where that side of the work ethic comes. Right, it's consistent, wanting to do the best you can do.
Yeah, and obviously not being too worried about the time side of it, or.
Regardless of what you earn, I never look at a job and think, I've done really well, then I've earned, whatever, 30, 40 quid an hour doing that one. Never think, oh my God, I only made a £5 an hour doing that. It's irrelevant. If I made £3 an hour, it's irrelevant. As long as when I hand it over to the customer, they appreciate the time that's gone into it, that's worth more to me than the money I'd make doing it.
For sure, that's such a good attitude to have. There's probably a lot of cowboys out there which aren't doing it that way.
Paint's really difficult. I feel sorry for a lot of painters, because I think every painter has the potential to be fantastic. It just depends how much time they're given to do a job, and sometimes they're not charging enough, so they haven't got the time, or they've got work stacked up and a boss screaming and shouting at them to push the work through, and it's probably really frustrating for a painter in that situation, because he can see stuff going through that he'd like to be better, but it is difficult. I'm just very lucky that money isn't everything.
Definitely. Do you find that some customers have got like more of a keen eye for what you've done?
I haven't found one yet that's ever said that's not good enough.
Brilliant. So there's a hell of a lot of work to take it back.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, definitely. And if I did, they'd be a very good painter. Yeah. Because it's only another painter that can really spot, the little things that sometimes you think, that could be a tiny bit better, but if I try and fix that, then the rest of the frame might be a little bit worse. So, sometimes you have to draw the line. But customer will never ever notice what you're pondering over,
Yeah. The reason I say that is we once, my dad's a car dealer, and I did a little bit of car dealing as a youngster, and I can't remember what car it was exactly, but we had this vehicle, and basically I hit the gate driving out of my dad's yard, literally almost broke the side of a car off, and then anyway, it came to selling it. We had all the paintwork done, and to me, I was like, that looks amazing. You can't even tell that anything's happened to it.
Yeah.
Guy came to look at the car, instantly said, what happened to the side of it then? And I was like, what? It looks either I'm half blind or...
Yeah.
So I just wondered if people sometimes look at it and go, you've done. Obviously, they wouldn't because your work ethic and your attention to detail is amazing. But hey,
I look at it as a really picky customer, you know, and it's
you
just
need
do the
those
best.
sometimes. They keep you on your toes.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, we have a few as well.
Know,
So
as long as you do, as long as you don't cut any corners with the first bit of sandpaper you start sanding the paint off, from the second you start sanding to the second you finish polishing it at the end, as long as you don't try and cut any corners, it's going to be all right. Yeah. It's when you try and cut corners that it bites you in the arse, Sure. So you just got to accept.
It's the same in life too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Just got to accept that's how it is. It's going to take that long, and if you don't like it, get a different job.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So we went before we were chatting about the actual process. So someone's kind of designed or come up with a design for you. You've started. So what happens with the painting? Do they ship the bike down to you?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. About 95% of our work is sent by post.
Right.
We can get the frames collected if need be, but usually the customer sort out shipping to us. Sometimes the shop will ship it. They'll strip it down and it'll come direct from the shop. And we get a box quite often with nothing in it at all. We might have 3 or 4 boxes turn up, and it's like, I told all 4 of these customers to take a note of what's what, and you just think, okay, I've spoken to 20 people this week. Which 4 were these? But usually, within a week we usually find out whose is what. That's how it goes, really.
Okay. So do you have like drop-off places set up that maybe could be quite cool if you had certain bike shops around the UK? You could be like, drop it there and they'll ship it down for you, sort of thing.
We haven't actually. We find that most customers have got a shop that they trust.
Yeah.
And it's so varied. There are quite a few shops in the country that we've done several bikes for, and that's quite nice. It's always nice to get the shop come back again because they're obviously satisfied with the last one. But as far as the customer goes, it's more of how they feel safe, because at the end of the day they might be shipping you a £3,000 frame.
Yeah, definitely.
So you kind of leave a little bit in their hands.
That's kind of something that personally I struggled to get my head around at first. When I saw that one at Joe's shop, I was like, okay, so this guy's gone out, he spent 2.5-3 grand on a frame. And then he sent it down to you because it's not quite nice enough. It's like, what the hell? When are people not happy? It's crazy.
Yeah, funny enough, that one was a sponsorship deal for a local race team that I support.
Oh, right, okay.
So he's only down the road. So that was a deal for him.
Okay. So do you find that now you're doing more mountain bike or road bike stuff?
Oh, it swings about, to be honest. This week, for example, the last few weeks, for example, more mountain bikes. But a few weeks before that, probably more road bikes. I would say 60% mountain bikes, 40% road bikes.
Is it?
Because, we do an awful lot of bespoke stuff for some of the top builders in the country. And they're regular customers, so their stuff will come in, we'll get several frames, 3 or 4 frames regularly a month from different builders in the country. So that kind of keeps the road side of things, busy-ish really.
Yeah.
But about 60-40, I'd say.
Is that okay? Interesting. Okay. And do you usually find that, maybe after something like Steve's World Cup bikes this year have gone out on social media, does work for mountain bike stuff kind of pick up, or?
Inquiries definitely do, and
right.
Work does to a certain extent. It's hard to quantify. Doing Steve's stuff social media wise was just fantastic. I always knew it would. And fantastic, brilliant smiles. But
I can see you smiling like a Cheshire cat.
Only at 1 a.m, still answering 20 Facebook messages, and all the different platforms. You've got your Facebook messages. You've got your Instagram messages, You've got your emails, you've got text messages coming through, you've got WhatsApp coming through, and whenever we released a picture of one of Steve's bikes, I literally had to prepare myself for non-stop next 24 hours, which was really exciting, quite tiring at times, but really exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We definitely got an influx of jobs after doing Steve's bits and pieces. It was well worth doing. Steve's been a friend for 25 years. So regardless of that, it would have been worth. I've got so much respect for the man. It would have. I'd have done it even if we couldn't show them off on Facebook.
Yeah.
But it was a fantastic thing to do. With it being his last year as well, it was even more special for me because I was racing with him at national level. His first year,
Yeah.
You know, we went to the World Championships together. You know, the first World we went to, we went to together. You know, it was great.
That's cool. That's cool. So going back to your own riding then, do you don't ride too much these days, or do you ride much these days?
No, definitely, I'd love to. But
I know there might be a bit of a reason for that. I don't want to dig into it too much if you don't want to, but I know it might be nice for people to hear kind of why. And
it's fine. Yeah. Unfortunately, I've acquired a heart condition over the last 24 months. A bit over 24 months now. I have a rhythm problem, and my heart, whenever it's pissed off with me, can go into a sudden death rhythm that has to be dealt with an internal defibrillator. So I've got a little battery pack inside my chest, and if I do anything I shouldn't and my heart goes out of rhythm, I can get a full-on defib shot, which is, it's embarrassing, it's painful. First of all, it's painful, a bit scary because, you're not guaranteed it's going to work every time. It's painful and it's embarrassing, because it switches you off. It fires every single muscle in your body, and then it switches you off. It's quite a violent looking thing to happen. You just don't want it to happen in public. It's the sort of thing you want to have when there's no one around. But that's meant.
Or not at all.
Yeah, or not at all would be ideal. Yeah. So I mean, I went from doing 300 miles a week, racing, time trials, downhill mountain biking, enduro, road racing, winning races in a lot of categories, winning local series in a lot of categories, to not being able to ride at all or any exercise at all in 18 months. So yeah, it's been a pretty devastating 24 months. But I've got the best job in the world really, and that's what's seen me through. To be honest, I've just sunk myself into Fat Creations, and I love it so much. It's filling the hole at the moment. I have days where I think, I need to be fixed. I wish they could fix me, but there is no easy fix. It's a heart transplant, so that's not the sort of thing you sort of ring up and say, let's do it now.
No, not at all. No, not at all. So is that kind of obviously why you've started using the fat e-bike and stuff? Do you get out and have a little bit of a pedal? You just can't go crazy?
Yeah, basically I've got to keep my heart rate below 100 beats a minute.
Okay.
People that use heart rate monitors and know that means you're not particularly doing very much. So I went from last time I rode without any mechanical assistance was Bike Park Wales back in December. There was a Legends weekend where all of my old friends that I used to race with were invited to. Yeah. And it was a massive risk for me to do that, but to ride with PT, Martin Ashton, Martin Hawes, and all those guys, it was a risk worth taking for me.
Yeah.
So I took the risk. I only managed to ride on one of the days because I did have an incident where my heart went out of rhythm. So I didn't risk riding on the Sunday, just rode on the Saturday. Okay. And then I literally put the bike in the shed with its Wales dirt on, and I didn't ride a bike for about 5 or 6 months, which was devastating. Yeah. And then I thought, I need to be able to get out. I need to be able to ride with Bex and the boys. I look into e-bikes. And the British e-bikes side of things was a bit difficult because the power just wasn't there for me to go and ride like I used to ride. Yeah. So I decided to build my own, which is, shall we say, it's a bit more powerful than it should be. No, it's not much more powerful than I used to be. Okay. So it means I can go out with Bex and I can keep up comfortably. I can, if I need to get home in a hurry, if I'm not feeling well, I can get home in a real hurry. So it's life-changing for me, really. And
that's awesome.
So yeah, it's really
I think e-bikes kind of take a bit of a ribbon. Obviously, I'm in and out of bike shops all day, every day, and let's say I see 4 shops in one day, 2 of them will love e-bikes, 2 of them will hate them, but I think they definitely do have the place. I mean, certainly you've found that it has its place, and I think I've thought about one for like my missus, for example, because she can come out riding with me, and I'm not saying I'm fast, but she can kind of keep up, and she loves getting off when there's a hill, so it's one of them. It'd be good just to have her behind, at least close.
It just makes it much more social.
Yeah,
I think so. Well, and there's some very famous people that need them. Martin Ashton's one of them. You've got to be a hero to everyone and an inspiration to everyone.
I want to get Martin on this podcast, to be honest with you. I'm pretty keen for that. It'd be pretty cool.
We have to work on that.
Yeah, we can work on that for sure. We've exchanged a few tweets and stuff together, so it might happen. We'll see.
Yeah, he's a busy man, I'm sure, but he's also a nice guy. So
Yeah, I think I don't know, it kind of makes me a little bit nervous already even thinking about it. It's one of those things, it's like, right, sit down, where do you start?
Where do you start?
Yeah, where do you start with that one? You know, we usually try and keep these things to about an hour, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that I'd run over for sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
But yeah, it's good to hear that you're out, you know, doing a bit of riding and stuff. And obviously, it's changed your life.
Yeah.
Has it kind of changed how you are just generally throughout the day? Do you use any sort of like meditation or anything like that just to chill out, or
I pretty much
coffee off the table now, or
I've never been a coffee drinker anyway.
Okay, right.
I pretty much meditate all day. You know, I'll spend the whole day controlling my breathing, trying to keep my heart rate as low as possible.
Yeah.
The lower my heart rate is, the less chance it has of going out of rhythm. But it's not a dead cert. You know, I've had days where, you know, I've been at resting heart rate, which for me is probably around 45, and my heart's gone out of rhythm. You know, and it's just like there is no rhyme or reason. It's like God's up there flipping a coin, and every time it lands on its edge, we'll give Alistair a little zap today. You know, so you know it's hard to quantify. I mean, I wouldn't say I have any good days. You know, apart from my job, which is fantastic health-wise, I don't have any good days because I can't go out and ride my bike with my heart rate at 180, come home destroyed and relaxed. You know, I can't do that anymore, so I don't have any good days as such. I have okay days where I can work as long as I wanted to, 9 hours, 14 hours, whatever that day happens to be, depending on what I'm doing. And then I have quite a lot of not very good days where I'll get up in the morning and then 5 hours later I've got to go and lay on the sofa because my heart's just not quite beating right. It's not in its dangerous rhythm, but it's just not beating right.
Yeah.
And I have to go and lay down, and usually when I am poorly, within a few minutes I'm asleep. You know, I literally just fall asleep. 4 hours later I'll wake up feeling a bit better, you know, that my heart will be beating a bit better, get on with my day. The difficult thing with that is it makes controlling fluctuations even more difficult because, you know, you book in a week's work and you might only be able to do half a week's work in time.
Right.
So it's really hard to juggle that, you know, because you don't want to upset your customers. You know, I've got a couple of bikes here I've had for a very long time. Joe Burt, who, you know, most of us old school boys will know, I've had his bike here for months and months and months. You know, he's been as good as gold. You know, hasn't pestered me at all. He should do really, because I need to get on with it. You know, there are a couple of projects that have been here far too long, but you're trying to sort of keep up with the ones you're behind on a few weeks, and then you think, and then every now and then you pick one of the ones you're behind on by a few months that you know aren't critical. You know, the customer's not jumping up and down for them. It's a second or a third bike, and then you try and get those through. But when you have a bad week, you know, you don't even finish that week's work, you know, and you're behind on the week that's coming up ahead, and it has a massive impact. You know, every single day it's a massive impact. You know,
and I'm guessing some of the more higher profile jobs obviously jump to the top of the queue because they have to. You can't have Steve not riding because he's got no bike.
Exactly. Yeah, no matter how ill you are, then you've got to get them done. You know, stuff for the World Championships, stuff for the Olympics, stuff for shows. You know, big manufacturers that you're doing bikes for shows. The show is on the 5th of September. They've got to have the bike by the 2nd. Otherwise, it doesn't go to the show. So there is, and that can get stressful because if I've had a bad week leading up to that, you think, God, you know, if I have a bad few days, it's not a bad back. You know, it's not like you can work through it. When your heart's not beating properly,
no, definitely not. You can't mess with that, can you? You can't overdo it for sure.
Yeah, no, you just So it can get stressful, but I'm not your usual kind of stress head. You know, I probably deal with stress better than most.
Right.
I tend to it is what it is. Do what I can. 99.9% of my customers are really understanding. They know a bit about me, so they know the problem that I've got. So it all works out in the end. You know, it's all good.
Yeah, and definitely, I think when you're doing custom stuff, you've got to be a bit more understanding that these things take time. And so, what is an average paint job time-wise from start to finish?
This is a really odd question because there's no such thing as an average paint job.
Right. Okay.
So
excuse my ignorance.
No, that's how it is. The most common paint jobs jobs would take probably a road frame. The most common job that I do, so if you averaged out all the jobs, probably about 23 hours start to finish.
Right.
And then full suspension. That's if it's a carbon frame. If it's a carbon frame and fork, probably about 5 hours less on a road bike if it's an aluminium. Full sussers, a little bit more, probably around 26 hours, something like that for an average paint job. So yeah, it does vary. It does vary.
Yeah. Cool. Very interesting. Very interesting. And something I always like to ask people is, where do you see like the future of Fat Creations? Are you looking at bringing more people in, or is it something that you just take day by day?
I have been thinking about it, and if I was healthy, if I was 100% healthy, then already by now, bear with me, my dog's making a noise.
Yeah, no worries.
If I was healthy, I would have already taken steps to have it expand. We've got the work there. You know, right now is it October? Not that I know.
It is, yeah. I'm bad with dates too.
and we're booked up till February. I've got more work than I can do till February. You know, that's probably based on 7 days a week. So it's in a position where I could expand, you know, tomorrow.
Yeah.
But because of my situation, it's really difficult to take that plunge.
And do you find that a lot of people, obviously, when they come to Fat Creations, they come to Alistair. They don't come to the big corporate company, and they don't know who's touching the bike. So in some respects, you maybe made not a rod for your own back, but that's what people want. I mean, my friend Joe from Steel City Media, he's the same. You know, people want Joe to turn up and film. They don't want someone else to go and do it. So.
No, exactly. And also the quality. You know, you can teach people how to do things, but you've got to be there. You know, you've got to do the final touches. Otherwise, you won't see if everything's right all the way through. So that, you know, that has it stopped me taking the plunge really to expand things and get more staff.
Right.
You know, I'd rather be a little bit more exclusive. You know, and just keep plodding on like we are, sort of thing.
Yeah, sounds good, definitely. So, last but not least for me, social media. Your social media is insane, and we're going to come on to some. It's kind of funny. I'm going to call them fan questions now. I've always kind of not thought that we'd ever have a fan of this podcast, but it's got to a point now where we actually have. You know, I'll put out. We've got X guy coming on the show, and then people do actually start. You know, asking questions, and which is it's kind of mind blowing because you know I started this thing as a bit of a project on the side. It's a bit of fun, but it's kind of getting to the point now where there is actually people looking forward to the next episodes, and that's kind of scary.
Yeah.
But obviously,
this one because
we're hanging up the boots after this one. But yeah, so your social media is huge, and it looks like it's fully organic. Do you get a lot of business through your social media channels?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, Instagram. I've only been on Instagram about 18 months, 20 months.
Wow.
And it's phenomenal. You know, I think probably it's hard to quantify, but I think I probably get 30 or 40% of my work through Instagram.
Wow.
You know, and Facebook's pretty good, but nothing like Instagram. Instagram seems to be so much more focused. You know, the people that see your stuff want to see your stuff.
It's impressive. You've got a really good following, and you can tell straight away with it because as soon as you put something up, people straight away want to like chat and they want to know stuff, and that's really cool, man. Fair play. And if it's all organic as well, which it is, like massive respect. That shows people really appreciate what you do and are genuinely like interested, which is rad. Because obviously you can go out and you can buy followers, which just kind of defeats the whole object, doesn't it? Really, let's be honest.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you do see a few people that do buy some followers.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's, you know, being a racer that's never cheated, you know, you just can't cheat with stuff like that.
No,
you want to know where you are. You want to know where you genuinely are.
Yeah.
And the only way is to let it be what it is, you know.
It is for sure. No, it's impressive though, man. Congratulations. And if you don't already, go follow at Fat Creations on Instagram. So, right. Fan questions. I can't believe I've actually written it on a piece of paper. I've physically wrote fan questions. It's insane.
Oh, there we go.
So we'll try and smash through a few of these. I've only got a few, to be honest with you. There was loads. So the first one from Instagram is it's a good name actually. It's at Blue Boogaloo 1.
Yeah.
Quality. Is everything hand painted using stencils, or do you use decals as well?
Yeah, no, everything's hand painted. I would say 99.95% of everything you see of ours is all paint. Very occasionally we'll have to use a decal for like a Reynolds logo or something like that. And usually that's for authenticity more than anything else. But everything you see is always paint. I've got a pet hate for vinyl, so we won't use vinyl.
Okay. Next one is at Davey. I'll give you a clue, that's actually me. But I've just thought of it, so I'm going to slide myself in. Is there anyone that you like look up to in the painting game? You know, for example, Troy Lee. I know you met Troy Lee the other night.
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously Troy Lee's probably the godfather of custom paintwork in my eyes, really. You know, on the kind of extreme sports side of things, anyway. And such a cool guy. You know, we had dinner with him the other night and spent the day with him, and he's just so normal, you know, and him telling us how he started his business and the hours that he was working and that. I'm just sitting there smiling to myself thinking, yep, been there.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I'm thinking, how many years is it going to take me to be Troy Lee?
I've actually
T-shirts.
yeah, I've seen. I've met him a few times as well, actually. Through Steve. I used to spend quite a lot of time in California, so whenever I'd go and fly back, I'd bring some helmets back for him, or whatever he kind of needed from Troy Lee. It was always kind of surreal. He'd be like, "Yeah, just go in, just ask for Troy Lee." I was like, "What?" So going in the place and getting helmets and bringing them back for Steve was always pretty cool. But yeah, I agree, man. Such a down to earth, good guy.
Unbelievable. And he's into e-bikes.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, is he? Oh, God.
Yeah, he's really into e-bikes.
Oh, right, okay. But yeah, going right back, I mean, I'm an ex-motocross guy, so when he first brought out the motocross helmets and all that sort of stuff, the designs were insane, and yeah, huge respect for him.
Definitely.
So there you go. So next up is at First Class MTB. These guys have got a huge social media following. I don't know if you know them, but Matthew wants to know, out of every frame you've completed, which one is your favourite? I'm sure you get asked that all the time.
Yeah, this is really difficult. I'll be absolutely... If you'd have asked me a month ago, I'd have struggled to answer it. Mm-hmm. But Steve's Spitfire bike probably tops everything.
I'm going to say that's my favourite too.
Yeah, it's not the most complex frame. You know, it took me half the time that some of the frames have taken me in the past. Right. But it just worked really, really well. And we were given quite a bit of free rein on that. So, you know, that for me was, it's probably the nicest one we've ever painted.
Okay. And where does the inspiration come from for you did 3 bikes for Steve this year, right? So you did the Spitfire, the Cow.
Yeah, and the Tweed.
And the Tweed. So where did those things just come from?
Nick Bayliss designed...
from Rail.
Yes, yeah. Okay. So he designed the kit, and then they designed the bike from the kit. Right. And the first 2 bikes come through. You know, we had a plan to follow. We tweaked it a little bit to suit the frames because obviously it's quite hard to get some things round a curve from a piece of paper. But the Spitfire one was scary last minute because I'm just about to start to paint all of Steve's stuff with Union Jack style. You know, I'm thinking, okay, we haven't heard anything. We're just going to get on with this. And I've WhatsApped him, I don't know, one Sunday morning and said, right, Steve, you know, can we just go for this with the Union Jack style? And I get a WhatsApp back saying, hey up, mate, hang on a minute, I'll call you. And I'm thinking, if he's ringing me, it's bad news because he's a busy boy. And he rang me up and he just said, we've changed it. I was like, when the bloody hell did you change it? Only the other day. And then, you know, he sent over a few pictures of some Spitfires, a picture of his kit, and he said, Nick's been really happy with what you've done with the others, you know, the tweaks we've had to make, so he's happy for you to just go with the flow on it, do what you want. Wow. And that was really nice, you know, because knowing a few things about Steve that, you know, maybe the general public don't, it was just nice to add some personal little touches there for him. You know, so yeah, that was definitely, you know, probably the best frame I've done, I think. My favourite.
Oh, that's cool. Have you always been kind of like creative then? I know that I mean, some people can't draw. I mean, myself, I can't draw at all. But have you always had that like eye for cool looking stuff?
I guess I've had the eye for it. But if you put a pencil in my hand and said draw the front of a house, it would probably look like a pier. You know, I can't draw to save my life. I got kicked out of one lesson at school, one exam at school, and that was art.
No
You
way.
know, it's something that I can't do. But what I can do is make a load of mistakes with an airbrush,
Yeah.
and then when it's finished, it looks just right.
Good way of looking at it.
Yeah, I think, you know, when you're using an airbrush, you're building layers and layers and layers. So you get that opportunity to see things aren't quite right, so you can adjust the shading, you can adjust the colour, you know, and every little mistake you've made in the build up to that job being finished adds to the depth of it, you know.
Yeah.
So I've got a great eye for colour, I think, you know, what goes together, what shapes look good together and things like that. But I you know, I can't draw for toffee.
Brilliant. There's hope for us all.
Yeah, definitely.
Next is at Phil Maestri, I think it is. Sorry if I've got that wrong. What was your favourite or most memorable reaction to a paint job reveal?
I had 3 guys come down. Two of them were brothers, Rob, Justin, and I can't think of the other chap's name. There was 3 customers. They had road bikes. One was a Cannondale, one was a Parlay, and one was a Cervelo. And quite excitable chaps, about my age, so
Right.
old. And they come down. I posted this picture on Instagram. I don't very often post picture with people in on Instagram. I feel my followers are into bikes, so I just post pictures of bikes.
Yeah.
But these guys, I let them into the spray booth. Their frames were hanging there, and they were just speechless. They picked their frames up and just looked at me. I was stood in the doorway, and they just looked at me, and the look on their face
Really?
was just a picture. And I already had the camera ready, and I got a shot that just literally, it was bewilderment, you know, because with the work that I do, it looks great, but it feels better. You know,
Okay.
if you ever get the chance to feel a frame that I've painted, it feels very strange. It's dead smooth, you know, it's like a sheet of glass. So no matter
Right.
what artwork's under it, it just feels like something that's been coated in plastic. So to get 3 customers coming in to collect 3 pretty nice frames, painted frames, and their reaction, you know, that was
Good
you know,
work.
if I hadn't earned any money for those 3, that would have been worth it.
I'll find that picture and we'll give it a share and stuff.
Won't miss it. Yeah,
We'll make some
definitely.
cool artwork out of it. That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice one. Right, next one is God, I'm not sure. I think I know this guy. At Steve Pete. I
Okay,
believe he's a plumber from Sheffield.
I think he is. Yeah. I don't think he does much else.
What years did you race downhill in the UK, and what were some of your best results?
Ooh.
Is he having a dig there, do you think?
He might be. Yeah, I think it was, I think one of the years he might have broken a set of handlebars when I got silver at the national championship. So it might be a bit sore there. I remember feeling quite relieved when I passed him as I was running and seeing him walking along the track with his cone of heat with 2 handlebars. I guess my best result was standing next to Jason McCroy on the podium
Brilliant.
at the national championships. I'm afraid to say the date, a long time ago.
Right.
I started racing down. I did my first downhill early '92. I didn't even know it was a national downhill. It was at Margam Park in Wales. The national champion was there at the time, and the national junior champion was there at the time on their full suspension bikes. I'd done the sports cross country race the day before, and we just hung around to do this downhill event the next day. You know, didn't think anything of it. It consisted of three runs. I won all 3 runs. Didn't think much of it. You know, I didn't realise I'd beaten the then national champion 3 times on my rigid Kona on my rigid Kona with a flexi stem. I didn't realise that it was a good result. You know, I'd got 3rd or 4th the day before in the sports race, and then won this downhill thing the next day. And then a few days after that, I got a phone call from my sponsor at the time, which was a shop down in West Wittering, 2XS, saying that the marketing manager of Diamondback, More and Large, wanted to sponsor me, and it caused quite a kerfuffle because I had a contract with Trek and the shop at the time for racing cross country, because cross country is what I did.
Yeah.
But Diamondback were offering, you know, bike, you know, there's $3.5 worth of bike and expenses. It's like, oh, come on, Simon, who was my sponsor at the time, surely we can do something. And I was probably the only rider for the next few years that raced for one company on cross country on the Saturday, and then hit and race for another company on the down.
God.
Yeah, so I started.
You must
my
have a hell of
first
a
event-
lawyer to get you that deal sorted out.
I think I was just stubborn.
Yeah.
So I started in '92 at national level, and I finished in '99 downhill. But I started mountain biking in '88 and finished at a high level in 2000. So on the scale of Pete's career, Petey's career, sorry, half of what he's done. But 12 years, it's quite a long time for me.
Let's
Really.
be honest, he set the goal pretty high.
I don't think anyone will be getting anywhere near him.
Not for a little while. Brilliant. Right. Go on, sorry.
Steve.
Next up, RO88042. A strange Instagram title, but hey. Why are you called Fat Creations?
Yeah, I might have seen this question actually.
Okay.
I used to test bikes for Mountain Biker International back in the day. Used to be one of their test force. So occasionally we'd have bikes for a few weeks. Occasionally it would be a one-day test. Jeff Waugh was the journalist that took the photographs, did the write-ups and everything. Great photographer. And whenever we did the tests, we'd give our input to the bikes, what we thought, the components. And then Jeff and Paul Burwell, who were staff at the magazine at the time, would edit it, write it up and everything. And I'd always be referred to as Fat Al,
Right.
because I was a pretty good cross country rider. But as far as cross country riders go, I was a big lad. So instead of being 65 kilos and slim, I was 76 kilos and had a chest and thighs. So as a good cross-country rider, I was classed as fat, and
Right.
in the magazines they always refer to me as Fat Al,
Okay.
which they didn't think hurt me, but I had nightmares every month when I read it. And then when I left Ultimate Sports Engineering, didn't really know what I wanted to do with my career. I obviously had all the experience of developing and making mountain bike products, so I thought to myself I could carry on going that way, research and development into my own products and have my own product range in mountain bike components. I also had started painting at that time, so I thought I've already got a little bit of a business with painting, so I could do that. I was making a few other bits and pieces engineering-wise. And so coming up with a company name was a nightmare. I didn't want to be Maclean Paintworks because
Right.
I can only paint things.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be Alistair's Engineering,
Okay.
'cause- and then I'm thinking, actually, the magazine called me fat for about 9 years. Perhaps I can do something fat. Then it was fat paintwork. No, because then I can only paint things.
Right.
Fat Creations. Well, that's pretty good. I can do anything.
There you go.
And that's where the name come from. Sat down with a friend and brainstormed, come up with Fat Creations.
Brilliant. There you go. Answered the question beautifully.
Long answer. Sorry.
Hey, it don't matter. It's all good, man. It's all good. All right, two more. This one was always going to come up, but I think it's best to be quite general with it. How much does a job like Steve Pete's military bike cost? Let's just be rough, though.
Yeah. Obviously, it's twice the price for Steve.
Yeah, obviously.
Frame and swing arm for that would be around £700.
Really? Wow.
The spring would add about £80. The forks would add about 120. The rims would be about £225 each. The stem would add £60. The handlebars, £60. If you added it all up, I did a few spare rims for Steve as well, but that would probably, for a customer, that would be around a £1,600.
Wow.
Paint.
I'm surprised.
Yeah,
I'll be honest
I've
with
done
you, I'm really surprised.
in a good way.
Yeah, really good way. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I love
Wow.
my work, so I don't charge for it.
Nah, that's brilliant, man. Wow, there you go. And last but not least is at Joe Nicholas. I don't know if you know Joe, but Joe's the shop manager over at Bike Park Wales. It's amazing that a lot of the questions came in. I knew the people. It's really strange. Is there a job you've turned down for being too complex, distasteful, or just a bit shit? Or the customers always get what they want?
I'm not afraid to turn jobs down anymore, that's for sure.
Okay.
I'm trying to think if I've turned anyone away. I'm really not sure.
Right.
I'm pretty sure I've put people off.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing that springs to mind, but I do tend to, if I think something's crap, I'll tell the customer. You know, and if I'm doing something, very recently I did a job, sent a picture to the customer. Never send a picture to a customer halfway through a job. It just causes so much trouble, but I do it all the time. And the customer said, oh, can we change this? Can we change that? And I just said, no, we can't. It looks shit hot. When you get it, you'll love it. And he was like, oh, okay then.
It's funny you should say that, because I used to do camper vans, and very similar. We do like an update halfway through the job, and it made so much more work. You send a photo of an interior of a van which has been totally done, and then they'll be like, oh, I don't like the colour, can we change it? It's like, not really, no. Now you've just added another like 10 hours.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it's not that they don't mind being a pain in the backside. It's that they don't appreciate how long it will take to just do that.
Yeah. Can you just?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, if you painted a bike black with blue logos, but they decided they wanted yellow logos, to just change the logos means the whole frame has to be flatted back. You have to repaint the logos. You have to re-lacquer the whole frame. So to just change those two logos from blue to yellow will take about 8 or 9 hours.
Whereas, so yes, we can do it, but it's going to cost you a fortune.
Yeah. Unless I've made the mistake, it does happen, unfortunately.
Brilliant. There you go, Joe. Question answered. And you know what, man? I think that's about it. I like to try and keep these things to around an hour, and we're at like 54 minutes, which is perfect. So, really appreciate sitting down and having a chat, man. It's been cool. Hopefully not too nerve-wracking for you.
No, I've just realised that most of the time I've spent looking down rather than at the camera, but
it's all right. It's not recorded. Don't worry. It's only the audio, which hopefully the audio sounds good. So apologies if it doesn't, because I feel like I've gone through some sort of interrogation with this crackling in my ears. This is I think what they do to terrorists. It's killing me.
Sleep deprivation.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. But if people don't already know, where can they find out more about you? Let's hit some links.
Instagram, Facebook. We've got a Facebook page and a Facebook group. I've got a website, www.backcreations.com. Bex keeps that up to date, bless her. The Facebook page is pretty good. We kind of, each month we update it. But the Instagram, I've just finished a bike this evening, and 20 minutes later it's on Instagram. Yeah, the Mondraker.
Looks killer, really nice.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, that's got a lot of love already.
It has.
So Instagram, if you want to keep right up to date, and that's just Back Creations on there. So
there you go over and follow, folks, and leave some comments, definitely. And if you listen to this, fire some comments over as well. But I'll do all that towards the end anyway. So, right, let's wrap up, man. You can. What are you doing? You going back to work or?
I'm not. I have the evening off actually. I had a pretty hectic couple of days, so I think I'm going to go and flick the telly on and see if there's anything worth watching.
You've earned it.
Much appreciated, mate.
All right, man. You take care. Thanks a bunch.
Have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, folks. That's a wrap on episode 9. Again, huge apology for the bit of feedback. Hopefully you can see through that and you've still enjoyed the episode. It's one of those things that I didn't want to not put it out because there was a little bit of feedback, because again, you'd lose like the organic flow of conversation, I feel, and stuff. So it is what it is. It will get sorted. Again, thanks a bunch for checking out the podcast. If you can leave us a review on iTunes or SoundCloud, it's much appreciated. If you did enjoy it, please let us know. Drop us a Facebook message, Instagram, Twitter, whatever you can do. It's really, really appreciated. And don't forget, breast cancer awareness mud guards are available now, 35bikes.com or from your local bike shop. And give us a follow. It's at Hookit Products on pretty much every social media outlet, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We've got a blog, or head over to hookitproducts.co.uk. Thanks a bunch, guys. Take care. Bye.